The Kraken is a little roadhouse that has been here since I was a teenager.
Well, you know, they call it a roadhouse, and it is kind of a roadhouse, hard by the highway. But it's really more of a place, it's almost like, it's like a community center.
The Kraken, for me, is a home away from home.
Kraken is the welcoming place of White Cross.
My wife calls it the Bar of the Damned.
My name is Fred Cates, and most people around here know me as Fred Nick. How I got stuck with that, I don't know, but it could have been worse, I reckon.
Well, it's sort of a tar pit. You just stop by for a minute, and next thing you know, 3 hours, sort of a time warp kind of thing and all that.
It was like the little bar, and it was Boogers for a while.
It was the Broke Spoke Clubhouse at one time, which was a motorcycle club.
It was Catahoulas. It was Boogers for a little while when I drove by. Mostly the little bar. Every week or so there'd be a bunch of motorcycles outside. It was just kind of a local watering hole.
It was Catahoulas at one time. I can't remember all the iterations.
You know, and I don't remember the names, but I'll pop out. It's okay if I say I don't even remember the name of the bar at that point.
It used to be called the Little Bar for some of it, but it was really little.
They played cards there a lot, so there was always a card game going on at the table.
A local bar gets a bad rap a lot of times. Well, you know, didn't know what kind of joint it was, you know.
I have lived down 1 mile down the street for 38 years. And for the first 28 or so, I was scared to death to come in here. That is true.
The first day I came in here was the day I arrived from Lake Tahoe, California. I believe it was late 1984.
Broke Spoke was from September 13th of 1978 to April 1st of 1979 after the shootout. Daddy run us out because of the shootout. He said, I just can't have that, Paul. Johnny sold it to Billy and Dwight, and that's when they named it Highway 54 West. Catahoula bought it from Billy, and Johnny was in there somewhere. All right, when Gary Talbot owned it. I'm gonna get some details. Oh, hey Gary, what's up? Me and Ernie Dodson and the owner at the Kraken are up here with a production company, and we're doing a story on the Kraken. Do you remember what years you had it and who came before you and who came after you and all that stuff? Go ahead, Gary. Did you get it from Boogers?
No, I got it from your mom and dad to start with.
All right, and what was it called when you got it?
Well, I opened it up as Spuds. Then Booger sold it to Whistle Dick and called it Catahoulas. Remember that?
Okay. Numbnuts got it from her. Like I say, we're doing a documentary next month on January 15th is the 50th anniversary of when Daddy opened it.
Oh, shoot. I would doggone.
And I appreciate it, Gary. Good chatting with you, my brother.
Yes, sir. I can still remember some things, brother. Articulated, dude.
All right. Thanks.
All right, see you.
No wait, well, yeah.
Ain't nobody going to fact check us.
Here lies the Kraken man, she is feared throughout the land. Holding space, her dearest place, the Kraken will roll free. Up from the depths of the deep blue sea, the Kraken is here for you and me. Up from the depths of the deep blue sea, the Kraken is here for you and me. Teach your friends, watch a band, send yourself to another land. Watch a band, make new friends, come to the Kraken and see.
In 1972, when they was redoing Highway 54, the state bought 0.52 acres, the corner here, from Daddy. So when Daddy got that money, him and Mom talked about it, and they decided they wanted to put a floor in here because it was dirt floor before that, and that they wanted to open a little grill On January 15th of 1973, Daddy opened Paul's Place.
Back in 1973, I was catching the bus there, going to school. It was Paul's Place at the time, Paul Sr.
It was the first place in Orange County to legally sell beer on premises.
Rednecks, White Sox, and Blue Ribbon beer at the time, I guess you would call it.
Hot dogs were $3 for $1, hamburger was 45 cents, something like that. Plate lunch, it was, I don't know, $2 or $3.
It was not set hours. It would be open, it wouldn't be open. There was like no rhyme or reason to it. And I asked Paul Sr. one time, are you only open on the full moon? And he said, it sort of seems like it.
And the local construction, postman, sawmill, all the local people would come in and talk over the day. And
Paul Sr. was running the bar, and after the stores had closed or whatnot, I would go up and just get like a 6-pack, bring back to the barn.
Dixie would always bring over a pot of stew or something.
Mama was famous for her coleslaw. Everybody came here to get Mama's coleslaw that she made herself, ground it up. We didn't do the machine thing.
His wife Dixie had a pot of food that she would cook, big pot of stew.
There's Mom and Daddy, and me, and my brother, and my brother, and my sister, and my brother, and my sister, and my sister, and my sister. Daddy always said, anybody that walks through that door is welcome unless they give us a reason not to be. We had 2 or 3 booths set up, and you know, the locals was hanging out. Well, these two, what I call Rastafarians, you know, they had the dreadlocks. And this was in the early 70s. You didn't see that as much as, you know, on a regular basis as you do now. And so when they pulled up and they got out of the car, 2 or 3 of the locals started him-hawing and, you know, making their comments and everything. And that's when Daddy told them, said, look, he said, y'all better not say a doggone word. Because like I said, anybody welcome through that door until they give us a reason not to be. And that's who my daddy was. And that's what we've always tried to maintain. Mom and Daddy had it, and then my oldest brother, who was already in the restaurant business, took it over from them, Stacy's. Bobby and T-Bone had it, I don't know, a year, 2 years, I'm not sure. And they sold it to a guy that we only knew as Yankee. I bought it from Yankee on my 21st birthday. I kept it for a couple of years. It was called the Broke Spoke Tavern then. The club started just basically as a bunch of local guys who've known each other most of their life. A bunch of us were riding Harley Davidsons. This one is a 1956 Harley Davidson Panhead. I call her Old Betsy. I've been with this motorcycle for 47 years. Bought it on Leap Day of 1976. Young lad of 20 years old. When I had the bar where the Kraken is now, it was called the Broke Spoke Tavern. We'd all meet up there and go riding together and everything, and then that's when we decided to formalize things. These are our club colors. We had to basically ask permission from the Hells Angels in Durham, permission to start a club. They basically gave us permission. We put Chapel Hill on the bottom rocker because they didn't want us to put North Carolina on the bottom rocker because that's their bottom rocker. In order to become a member, you have to, first of all, be a prospect. Prospecting was anywhere, typically about a year. We had mandatory meetings every Friday night at 8 o'clock. You had to be there, you had to be sober. Everyone paid dues every week. What it means to wear your colors, these are your colors. You got to work a year to get that patch. And you've got to honor the patch. And it is the man that makes the patch, it's not the patch that makes the man. One of the biggest runs we ever did, we left the Hells Angels clubhouse, and it was us and the Hells Angels and the Satan's Avengers. We had a big time. Me and one of the top dogs with the Angels, his name was Chitlin. Chitlin and I played dominoes for 3 days, it seemed like. One of our mission statement, whatever, was we didn't want to fit the mold of what a motorcycle club was supposed to be. Motorcycle clubs at the time had a bad rep. Every year we went to the Myrtle Beach rally in the spring, and then in the fall we went to the Harley-Davidson rally at Cherokee. And we made it a point that, you know, when we stopped in somewhere to get gas or to take a break or whatever, we wanted them people to say when we left, that's the nicest bunch of bikers I ever met in my life. They don't fit the stereotype, which we didn't.
The parties were epic when the Broke Spoke was here. It was fun. We had a big time.
Bunch of youngins on badass Harley-Davidsons, at least we thought we were. We weren't youngins at the time. We didn't know we were youngins at the time.
See, I grew up in a motorcycle clubhouse. When I was 12 years old, I was the run boy for all the guys, you know, and that was my place, you know. And when I started coming out here, they were wearing colors, and I'd already made up my mind as that, you know, I will never be in a club because I'm not going to wear colors. I'm not going to be responsible to nobody else, but because I have enough trouble being responsible to Redneck.
Dateline, February 11th, 1979. We'd been partying, and there was some guys there. We were getting ready to close up and everything, and we told them, said, you know, y'all, we, you know, got to split. And they was like, well, we ain't going nowhere. And we were like, yeah, you are. You know, you can't hang out no more. And they got shitty, and so we got shitty, and they left. Well, 45 minutes later, somebody said, I heard a car door slam. So Babo, my first cousin, Babo got up and went and opened the door, and when he opened the door, you heard a shotgun blast, and his head blew sideways, and he got shot in the face with a bird shot, and it throwed his head sideways, and we knew it was on. We didn't know who it was. We had no idea. We just knew somebody was shooting at us. Well, everybody had a gun. So we took the pool table and turned it on its side, facing the door, because we didn't know what was coming next. Me and another guy went running out the back door, and up there on 54, there was a red Chevrolet Vega. That's how long ago it's been. They was driving a Vega. And I could see them shooting out of the car, so I was shooting at the car with that little ping, 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 little 22 pistol. Didn't have much kick to it. Didn't know at the time there was somebody out there in the woods behind me shooting at me, but no one was seriously hurt, which is a great blessing to everybody, us and them. But we had a weapon, highly illegal automatic weapon, high-power weapon, and the best thing that happened that night was after that thing rang off about 2 or 3 rounds, it jammed. It was a dangerous weapon there, it jammed, which I'm very, very glad it did. Come find out it was the guys who we had told to leave earlier. Bunch of dumbass kids. We was 25 years old, I reckon. Babo and Phil Copeland got shot. They was rough-looking guys walking around, birdshot it all in their face for 3 or 4 weeks. It was exciting. I have to admit, it was fun. Definition of fun changes over the years. As a result of that night, when Daddy said, Paul can't have this, you know, this is the neighbor, you know, we can't have this in the neighborhood. So that's when we had to find another clubhouse. And he said, it's bad enough, people riding by going to church on Sunday morning, y'all still out there partying, but this is the final straw. So we were here until April 1st. After Daddy told us we had to move out, me and Daddy decided to open it up just as a bar. We didn't have any food.
You forgot J.W. J.W. had it for a while.
Yeah, old timer down the road, J.W. Gates, he had it for a couple of years too. And so Gary talked to Mom and Daddy. He bought the business from Mom and Daddy, and he named it Spuds. His nickname was Spud.
And it was Spuds for about, I think, 2 years. He sold it to another couple. He had Catahoula dogs, which is state dog, I believe, for Louisiana. Donna Sperling bought the bar, and she named it Boogers.
The t-shirt on the back read, "Looking for a place to go? Pick Boogers." I've still got one of those t-shirts.
Boogers, I guess it was a working class bar. Some bikers. It was on the rough side, I guess.
One of my early jobs in town, I was working at Body Billboards, screen printing. There was this lady, Booger, who had shirts, and her shirt said, "Need a place to go? Pick Boogers."
I mean, just the name Boogers is, you're from Long Island, and here you move down here, there's a place called Boogers.
She was an imposing figure, and she would come back, generally wearing black, generally wearing leather, and looking pretty scary, and so we did not mess up Booger shirts.
Booger was a kind of jovial person, but not a person you wanted to make mad. This is a picture of this bar on Dodson's Cross Road in 54. At this time, it was called Catahoula's. It would probably been around 96, 7. Catahoula's was actually here. He bought it from Booger, not the other way around, as I said before.
Booger sold it to Johnny Faust, and Johnny named it the Little Bar, L-I', the Little Bar.
The Little Bar was, that's exactly what it was, a little bar.
And Johnny had it for 2 or 3 years, and then he partnered with Billy Phillips, and then Billy's and his daddy, Dwight Phillips, bought the business from Johnny, and they named it Highway 54 West.
And that was about the time they came up with the no smoking rules in the bars, which caused them immediately to issue the first membership cards to make it a private club so they could keep the walls yellow. It had a very large fan in the ceiling. It would have to evacuate smoke. In an emergency, it could get it out pretty fast, but the emergency is when you got down to less than 2 feet visibility.
But did you come in the early days before it was the Kraken ever?
I did not. It was a no touch.
And then Eric bought it in 2008, I think, October of 2008, and he named it the Kraken. And I didn't know what a Kraken was at the time. I'd never heard the term Kraken, I don't think.
And I think when Eric took it over, it changed the dynamic of the place a little bit. It kind of went from just being just local people.
Since when Eric took it over, the vibe changed here, and people felt like it was not an unfriendly place. And you would hear people, friends or something somewhere say, "So what's that Kraken place like?" It's actually a really cool place. It looks kind of rough, but you go in here, it's a really good feel in here.
He put in a stage downstairs, cleaned up all the walls, painted them red, which covered the brown pretty well. Put in the landscaping, put in the big juniper tree out there, all the flowers. He put up the statue of the Kraken out there, which in fact my daughter made that.
The best thing that's happened to this place since it's turned to the Kraken is the stigma of the no touch, the people being scared of not being welcome and things of that nature. Everybody's welcome here, and that stigma is no longer.
Even the police would come by and say, "Well, this place doesn't look as bad as it used to."
Eric made it a venue, which really changed the vibe of it all.
We had music up here on rare occasions before.
But he upgraded the ability.
He basically developed it into a musical venue. Eric had it until 2013, 14, somewhere in there. And that's when Jody and Kirk bought the business from Eric, and they are our present owners. proprietors.
It was a Friday afternoon when Eric was like, hey, I have a question to ask you. Would you and Jody like to, take over the bar? Buy this bar right here. And he's like, yes. So I get in the car and Jody's waiting for me. She's like, what did Eric want? I was like, well, he just asked if we wanted to take over the bar. So we looked at each other again and we were both like, yeah, let's do it. Like even before we pulled out of the driveway. So that is how we decided right there. It didn't take much thought that one of the important things that we could do here was provide that space for people to celebrate their birthdays or major events.
So this is the office, and this is where we come to hang out, and we have fires, and we enjoy ourselves. See all the office chairs? We have a ton of office chairs, and we sit around a table and we do business.
We are a old-time string band, and some version of us come here most Tuesdays and play from 7 until Kurt runs us out. I like old time because it's a tradition that's very rich here in West Carolina. Playing old time is like participating in history.
We've been meeting for years before that, but we got kicked out of every bar in a 25-mile radius.
Not just that, but we also would close down places. We'd have the old time jam there, and before you know it, the place is up for sale.
The old-time string band folks, they were so bad at breaking glasses. And I had to just tell them they were bad. They were as bad as the punks. Well, I had some boxes from the beer thing, and I made my little thing right here. So tonight, if no one breaks a glass, then it's going to move to 66. And I think I've got another 6 in here somewhere. So it worked. I didn't think it would actually work like that, but.
Well, my role, I guess the role comes up when I started organizing tribute shows here. When Merle Haggard died, I had the idea to do a tribute to Merle Haggard. I was in Austin at South by Southwest and Chuck Berry died. And I had been thinking, who am I going to do another tribute show for him when Chuck Berry died? I went, well, there it is. And then we did 2 one-hit wonder shows.
And I want you, I need you, love you, got to have you style. Great God in heaven, you know I love.
And there was people everywhere. This place was swamped.
Oh, yes, I do. Mr. Willie Painter, give me some now.
During the pandemic, there's going to be no more live music, and people started to stream and trying to whatever they could do to get their music out or to entertain people.
Come true. I had a feeling that you'd be leaving soon.
I had to put on a John Prine tribute. I'm a huge John Prine fan, had been a huge John Prine, still am. When John passed, it just broke my heart.
Seems the same no matter what I do.
So I started talking to the same kind of groups of people. Can you do a song and put it on video and send it to me? I am going to compile a John Prine tribute video. We'll stream it live.
Well, my feet are wet from thinking this thing over.
My son and Tim Smith and Ben Noblet and Tan and Sober Gentleman and David Shore on drums and Tim Smith on the piano.
Just give me one good reason, and I promise I won't ask you anymore.
This little beautiful masterpiece was done by us.
This is me. That's Ash still. That's Rob.
And that's
Who's that with the arm.
I don't remember.
That's Cooper.
So that's the president of the office. Hey, Mom. She said, "Why are you the president?" I said, "Because she named herself the president."
I did not. Nobody argued. Rob, that's true. Rob and Phil did. Yeah, I had no choice in the matter, and now they can't get rid of me. I'm the queen now. I'm not the president anymore. I'm the queen of the office.
Oh.
Yeah. Rob is the secretary of getting shit done.
What?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, well, he used to.
Got his beard done.
Certain ones around here, like Rich, has been here forever and a day. He's part of the feature of this place.
Rich has been in the corner for a long time, from 4 to 10, pretty much every night.
I come here every day, probably from about 4 until 10 o'clock or so.
He's a fantastic individual.
The mayor of White Cross is a generational superstar. His name is Paul Plummer. He's been here for, I think he's 4th generation. And if you come up here, he will welcome you in, be the spokesperson for any band that you need. And he is a gentleman of the South.
And I think how I became known as the mayor is the fact that I'm so deeply embedded in White Cross, and White Cross is so deeply embedded in me. If something was happening in White Cross, I was there.
And just so you know, when we said the mayor of White Cross, Paul Plummer, it's a joke. He's really not a mayor.
When that time of life arrived that I was no longer teaching full-time, I decided that since I can hear everything that goes on over here from my studio porch, I should come here more than 2 or 3 times a year. It was a little difficult at first because people here hug, and I had never experienced that before. And isn't it nice to be someplace that, like sometimes before you're even out of your car, James is walking across the parking lot with what he knows you're going to order. Yep.
The secret to being a great bartender, a lot of people think it's mixing the perfect drinks, the blah, blah, blah. We don't make many super fancy drinks at this bar. It's more or less character and being able to do it fast. And getting to know people definitely helps, and knowing exactly what that person is going to want before they even walk in the door. That's pretty much how I guess I keep winning awards. So. Kraken Fest is an event that we've been doing for about 10 years. It's mostly features extreme metal these days. I try to keep the prices low. Food is generally included. We hope for donations towards food because we spend a lot of money on food. Like one year we did ribeyes cut to order, which was an insane thing to do when you're just giving it away. So this year's Kraken Fest had a lot of good bands. Hubris, Hazor, False Prophet. This year's Kraken Fest was dedicated and a benefit for Rob from the band Hazor. We raised quite a bit of money for the family. And I play the festival probably every other year in my project Blix, which is a solo black metal project.
The guy playing pool in the picture over there, he's kind of one of the legends around here.
Yep.
This is one of the things that made me fall in love even more about this place. Is I had heard about John, heard that he was like the pool player here, and one day I came in and he was playing, and I got to play pool with John. So I said, hey, let's make a bet. And he says, well, what do you want to bet? And I said, well, I've got this 2-ounce silver pirate coin. And he's like, no. I was like, no, come on, bet's a bet. And he's like, all right, sure. So we played, he won. He refused to take the coin. I finally said, no, a bet's a bet. I'll give you the coin. It's the guy in the picture over there. So a few weeks later, he passed away. And, they did a little memorial for him and whatnot. And then about a month, 2 months later, there were 2 ladies sitting in here, and apparently they were his daughters, and they tried to give me the coin back. And I said, no. But it was just one of those things, the kind of people that hang out here, the kind of guy that he was, he didn't want to take the coin from me and actually I've got one with me. I've got 4 out of the 7 of these coins, and Meredith, the bartender, her father helped me get these before he passed away.
Bruh, that's the most beautiful fucking thing I ever seen you fucking say, dude. Love it, man.
And that's all I have to say about that. No. It's like the fun about the pirate flag out front. So, you got the American flag and the pirate flag, and we're considered the pirates out back. And we're always complaining about this, that, and the other. And so whenever we get angry about something, we'll go out front and turn the pirate flag upside down. Because, the rule about flags, you turn it upside down, you're in distress. So when the pirates are in distress, we turn the flag upside down. Or if we just get drunk enough and want to mess with Kirk, we'll do that.
Tuesday night is bike night where all the bikers come in. They'll line all the bikes up all the way around through the front. It's the Brotherhood, that's for sure. They're all close knit. You don't have any certain factions within the motorcycle. It's one for all for one. Great bunch of guys.
When there's a road emergency or somebody in the community is having a problem, this is a group of people that just jumps in there and pitches in.
There are different things, you know, celebrations and not so good things. And like when my girlfriend broke up with me, you know, she said we could still be cousins, but I really didn't want to be cousins with a girl like that, you know.
There's a hurricane or something, and there's power's out, and it's like a disaster. People like all come here to meet.
Here he comes.
Here he comes. Oh, hell, I forgot all about this.
VIP. I'm sure you know.
That was it.
This is my first time, all of it.
Come here, bro.
Damn, get along here is better than anywhere I've ever been.
Yeah.
Water's good and water's off.
Nice shot. Ain't better leave.
So one of the things that meant an awful lot to us and the local community was the Shake Sugary residency.
At the end of the counter, slab full of receipts for empty dreams. I see the line. I'm taking it back. I see the line. I'm not taking it, I'm taking it back.
Johnny Waken and I were kind of like on the road and off the road. Our schedule was really irregular, and I've been thinking about a residency. And I thought, that little place, like I wonder if we could just play there every week just to keep ourselves tight. I've toured a lot and played a lot of music in what I would call the folk scene.
Diana made the front page news the night she went out on the loose, heartbroken with a gun in her hand and in love with a married man. Her neighbors called the station scared. Harlan had to go down there. Something went wrong somewhere for Diana.
It's kind of like the most left-leaning music scene in America. But I was always like, where are all the black people? Like, they're not on stage, they're not in the audience. Like, where are even like the young people? It's pretty much like older, college-educated white people who support this music. And I know that those aren't the only people who are interested in it or the only people who play it. And for years, maybe for decades, I was like trying to figure out, how do I play to a broader audience? How do I like play in a place where different kinds of people are on stage? And this was surprisingly that thing for me. The Shake Sugary was the residency that I wanted. I didn't know that this would be it.
But White Cross is small enough, there's been some discussion online as to whether you'd say I'm in White Cross or maybe you'd say I'm at White Cross. I like to say I'm on White Cross. That's how it makes me feel.
But it wasn't just about the music, it was about the scene and the community.
First time a fan has ever made merchandise for my show. What does it say on the back? I got addicted to Jonathan Bird and the Pickup Cowboys. On the front it says, when I was on White Cross. You read that either way.
Lisa Earle would shout, "I love you," and she would come and dance in front of the stage. Phil White made a sign, said this is paradise. Gretchen would come and dance. Monica and James would be here and they would dance together. Bobby Hayes.
She drove a farm all from 56. I never seen one do that before. She backed up to the sled and hitched, put in a distance and a little bit more. Now, I met my baby at the tractor pull. Come on. I met my baby at the tractor pull. She dropped the hammer on my heart.
I think what it really was is that Jonathan invited people to participate in his performance.
Going faster than I should have gone. Now I'm older and I got the feel. I can go steady all night long. I met my baby at the tractor pull. Come on.
Well, the community got bigger than just the local community because we learned how to live stream the show.
At the tractor pull now. Look out.
And so people would come from all over. Like there were people here who came from Canada. Especially during the pandemic when we kept the live streaming going, even though an audience couldn't be here. It's such a magical place when you walk in. It was Nathan Smith that walked in. It's like, this is like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Johnny Waken, he's my idol on that guitar. I always want to be able to play like he plays, and he just gets better and better.
To wonder what'll happen when the well runs dry. Ain't no need to wonder what'll happen when the well runs dry.
Quit, record. Too many balls.
Years of this Roadhouse here. I don't like to say we're owners. I do like to say we're caretakers.
I've been through all these iterations of this thing, and it's been a long, good time.
I have memories when this was a dirt floor of having goats and calves and little Shetland ponies in here. I got memories from there till this past Saturday night when we had Dynamite Express up here.
And to this date now, still, there's people come in every week and says, well, we've been driving by this place for 30 years and never stopped, but today we decided to stop. And they come in and they're pretty surprised that the place isn't what they had in their mind.
There were two ladies who were scared. They'd always wanted to go there, but they were scared to go to the bar. So me and my brother escorted them. One was a librarian and the other one, I mean, they were prim and proper ladies and all. And so me and my brother escorted them to the bar one night. They were just grinning from ear to ear.
I always like to greet first-timers. It's always a joy for them to say, wow, if I'd have known this, I'd have been here a long time ago.
I've met some of the finest people on the planet right here. at the Kraken.
You know, it looks like someone may have like slept in the field next door, and then they come in and they've been an engineer for NASA.
I fit right in here for some reason. I don't fit in too many places.
To get along at the Kraken is better than any bar in America. No matter how you think of life in general, everybody gets along, and the Kraken is where you can afford to be generous.
I've never seen any crosswords since I've been back up this way.
Other than the shootout, I don't believe there's ever been a gun fired in here.
I mean, as far as the law being there since it's been the Kraken, very little has it been.
It's a funny way around here in White Cross. The people are so nice. Everyone has bent over backwards to help me out on this farm. I have a Toyota four-wheel drive pickup truck. Somebody gave it to me. Around here, people give you a lot of stuff. They always want to help you. But do not cross anybody around here, because it's not, I'll call a lawyer or whatever. They're just going to break your face. I sort of love it. It's sort of like The Sopranos, you know.
This is as home as I've ever been. This is my home. It's been my home for 67 plus years.
I just want to go out on a happy note. And this is it. Right here, the Kraken is a happy note. And that's a wrap.
Here lies the Kraken man, she is feared throughout the land. Holding space, her dearest place, the Kraken will roll free. Up from the depths of the deep blue sea, the Kraken is here for you and me. Up from the depths of the deep blue sea, the Kraken is here for you and me. Teach your friends, watch a band, send yourself to another land. Watch a band, make new friends, come to the Kraken and see. Up from the depths of the deep blue sea, the Kraken is here for you and me. Up from the depths of the deep blue sea, the Kraken is here for you and me. Trim your sails, take a break, none of this is a mistake. Love you all, you will